Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Manlius Town Board meeting for February 12th, 2025 at roughly 6:30 p.m. As always, we are remote and live streaming. We run our meetings with a Zoom. If you're interested in participating, you can find the instructions to join our Zoom at the top of each of our agendas. We're also live streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and to our own website. And next up, I would like to ask Councilor Neshi to lead us in the pledge.
Stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so next up, we have our open podium. This is an opportunity for folks to address the board on a variety of issues. Is there anyone, just show of hands, who's here to speak at open podium? Understanding we do have 2 public hearings tonight. Greg does that.
So first of all, I want to congratulate you and wish you a happy Lincoln's birthday. Next week we celebrate President's Day, in which we elevate those noteworthy presidents such as James Buchanan, Franklin Pierce, and Millard Fillmore, whose day it goes on, to the same status of luminary. But it's Lincoln's birthday. We used to celebrate Lincoln's birthday and Washington's birthday as they rightfully should have been celebrated. So thank you. I want to congratulate and compliment Rob Cushing and the UPW people. I've always believed that complaints outnumber compliments by at least 3 to 1. So this magnifies it. I think that the snow removal that they've been doing in the town has been remarkable. And given that we actually have a winter this year, all the much better. Finally, I want to bring to the board's attention a person who I would recommend to it for consideration for appointment to the Quarry Commission. And the person is a retired Marine and ballistics expert by the name of John Tyan, who lives on Salt Springs Road, so on the opposite side of the quarry, and nevertheless adjacent to it in the position that I think is worthy of your consideration. I've spoken with him, and I've also spoken with some other neighbors from the east side of Salt Springs who are supportive of a person like John to be considered for it. So with that, I'll take my seat and wish you well.
Thank you very much. So for the other 4 folks that signed up, they've all got labeled the sidewalk district. So that's a public hearing that's coming up. Show of hands, would anybody else like to address the board through open podium? Anyone online, please use the raise hand function. Okay, we will move on with the agenda. Thank you very much. Okay, so first up, we have the continuation of the public hearing for the TH Kinsella Quarry renewal application for natural resources removal permits. This was held open from a previous meeting. So it's open. We have updated documents that were on the website. Thank you to Attorney Sutphin for drafting those for us and getting those out as soon as we could. And really at this point, I'll just call up row by row. We do have 1 letter to read into the record. But if you are interested in participating in this public hearing and you're online, please use the raise hand function and we'll slot you in as it makes sense. So anyone in the first row would like to make a comment at this public hearing? Anyone in the second row who would like to make a comment at this public hearing? Anyone in the third row who would like to make a comment for this public hearing? Okay, and anyone in the back row who would like to make a comment on the quarry renewal application? Okay, is there anyone here in Zoom? Please use the raise hand function. A couple of things. I know some of it's included in this letter. We had a lot of really good feedback on this one. A couple things about timelines to report possible damages and things like that. So I know the board is taking a look at a lot of those comments, and we're going to be generating a new version of the permit that will get out to everybody as well as the applicants. But the hope is to address some of those concerns in this version of the permit, so that moving forward we've got a better model to build off of. So, last call, is anyone here to speak at the, last call, anyone here to speak at the quarry renewal permit or application for renewal of the quarry permit? Okay. Would you pop out and just ask if they're here for this public hearing?
I want them to feel welcome.
A light on in there.
The lights on. It's just a very bad one.
We need a better.
We've got a short list of improvements for facility that we've been talking about. Okay, so again, we will be making some changes and considering this in another meeting. So unless there's comments from the board, I would look for a motion to close the meeting.
Do you want me to do this first?
Yes. They even said.
You did, you said it twice.
Alright, dear Manlius Town Board Councilors and Supervisor Deere, I'm writing to provide feedback for the public hearing regarding the TH Casella Quarry Renewal Application for Natural Resources Removal Permit. After reviewing all the information, I have some comments to offer for consideration. First, I would like to reference item number 11 under blasting controls in the new resolution. This section mentions liability for property damage, including damage to underground wells and water supplies. This stipulates that damage must be reported within 5 days. While most property damage caused by blasting would be visible shortly after a blast, I would argue that noticeable damage to underground wells and water supplies would likely take longer than the 5-day time frame to emerge. Incorporating an extended reporting period for damage to wells and water supplies into the resolution would provide a protection for nearby residents who rely on these sources instead of municipal water, thereby safeguarding this essential resource. Another suggestion I have for this resolution is to include language specifying how communications about blasting operations will be handled for residents living nearby the quarry. This suggestion stems from the work of the quarry study group formed during the comprehensive planning process in 2023, of which I was a member. Within the published comprehensive plan, it was recommended by the study group that a notification system should be developed to alert contiguous properties about blasting. In addition to setting up notification system, I suggest providing homeowners with a longer-term schedule of planned blasts. While the schedule would be subject to change due to factors like weather, it would give residents a general sense of timing. If a system already exists that addresses the suggestions mentioned above, incorporating language about it into the resolution would benefit all involved. One more general note, I wanted to express some concern to the board regarding the procedures for posting materials for public hearings. Timely access to these documents is crucial for enabling informed participation from residents. Without adequate time to study materials, citizens may not have the opportunity to fully understand the issues at hand or provide well-informed feedback during hearings. I respectfully request that the board take these thoughts into consideration moving forward in order to support greater community involvement in local decision-making. Thank you for your careful consideration of these points. Respectfully, Kelly Wells.
So one final call, is anyone here to speak at the quarry permit renewal public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing regarding the natural resource permit renewal application for TH Casella Quarry. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So as we said, we're gonna make some modifications. We'll get that posted on the next agenda and we'll probably consider that as an extra another meeting. Great. Okay, so next up, we have consideration of the TH Casella Quarry zone change application. So to be clear, this is for a zone change that is adjacent to the existing quarry. And what we're doing tonight is just getting the process rolling. We've got motions here to refer to the planning board, as well as set it for a public hearing. Do you folks have any questions?
Just one question, probably for Jamie, would be able to answer. Does that leave enough time for planning board to give full consideration that we will be able to
So we've
have a
got
public hearing?
the 2 meetings, do you have the dates there?
So The planning board should be reviewing it on their next, I believe they're trying to get it on the next meeting, which is February 24th. And then they have another one on March 10th. So they have 2 meetings if needed.
Should be safe.
Yeah, we put it on. Okay. Any comments or questions or anything like that? Okay. Got some motions?
Motion to refer the zone change application submitted by Thomas and Sellers to the town's planning board for their analysis of the zone change request.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And set the date.
Motion to set a public hearing date for the proposed zone change application submitted by Thomas Kinsella for the following tax map numbers located on South Springs Road. 097.01 -03.1, 097 -01 -03.2, and 0967 -01 -03.3 for March 26, 2025 at 6:35 p.m.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
Is there any way we can also refer to county planning as well?
Oh, yeah,
Any
absolutely.
of their comments back
Yeah,
and address those?
It doesn't need a motion to refer to county planning, we just,
Yeah.
we can just do it.
You know,
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on that from the board? Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you,
I
although,
will see-
Joe, I think that was a little faster than.
Yeah, to be fair, we did tell some folks they had a little bit more time to discuss.
You want me to go find it?
You just, just shoot it. We're just gonna, we're gonna get to the presentation and things we got. Okay, so next up, we've got the long-awaited public hearing for the Enders Road sidewalk project. And we have our folks from the ballot here to give a brief presentation overview, keep everything fresh in everyone's mind, and then we will open that public hearing. Take it away.
Sure, come on.
Yes, absolutely.
You just have to stop it.
Yep.
Oh.
Sorry, technical difficulties there. Hey, all right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight to discuss the Enders Road sidewalk project. My name is Justin. For those of you who I have not met, I've been with Lavelle Associates for about 3 years now, and this is my colleague, Mike.
Hi, Mike Simon with Lavelle. I'm the regional leader for the civil group. I've been working with a number of municipalities over 30 years. And we're pleased to be able to have this presentation. with the permission of the supervisor, we'll roll through and take questions after.
Do you guys put your faces in all your presentations, or is that just for us?
Just for you.
Yeah, so we'll just roll through the presentation, and then what we'll do is, maybe we'll quickly take questions before we open for public comment,
Yep.
just so that everybody can get everything straight before we roll it.
Sure, so Justin is gonna get started with the presentation. I'll chime in maybe here and there, but, thank you, Justin.
All right, on tonight's agenda, we'll go over the project overview, the project area and preliminary layout, some anticipated project features and challenges that we've noticed so far, the proposed sidewalk district, costs, and then the next steps. Currently on Andrews Road, there is a limited existing sidewalk path. There is no continuous path. And as you all know, that route is used often for either students or pedestrians, either walking to school or from Eagle Hill up to Fayetteville Manlius High School. And I'm sure some of you have seen the sidewalk support initiative that was passed around, and I know it had a ton of signatures on it. And this project is aiming to provide a safe route for pedestrians and installing things such as crosswalks, signs, flashing beacons, potentially more as we get further into the design. And the sidewalk would extend from Casanova Road to East Seneca Turnpike or Route 92 to 173. And currently we have an estimated project cost of about 1.4 million. Just keep in mind, a lot of these things that I'm going to be going through are subject to change as we progress through our design. So this is all very preliminary. So here we have Andrews Road. This is Casanova Road right here, and then East Seneca Turnpike. I tried labeling some of these streets so you could get an idea of where we're at. So this is just an aerial image. And here in red, I've overlaid the proposed sidewalk route, extending, like I said, from Casanova Road to East Seneca Turnpike. Some of the anticipated project features we have. So the project is going to be about a mile, give or take a few hundred feet, 5 foot wide concrete sidewalk. There will be ADA compliant ramps with detectable warning strips, crosswalks, which I know has been a big request, and some pedestrian crossing signs and flashing beacons as well to make it more clear that there's a crosswalk there. Some challenges we've noticed up front, there are going to be some existing utility conflicts. Right here, we have a catch basin, and I'm gonna, hit the slide, it's gonna go to an image overlay, so I'll do that after, but also some existing site features, such as this culvert and this head wall right here. So what we're proposing to do for right now is relocate this catch basin on the other side. And as you can see, this is where we would have the sidewalk go through. And over this culvert, we could potentially have the sidewalk come over with a slab over the top and a little railing on the side to prevent you from falling in. And right now, we have unknown right-of-way boundaries, which may require easement acquisitions depending on where those right-of-way boundaries actually are. And we would also like to aim to minimize tree removal on this project.
Yeah, just to add into that, thank you, Justin. At this point, everything is very preliminary with the location of the sidewalk and utility relocations. Once the project begins, the first thing we'll do is field survey, locate all the utilities, any of the challenges, and then be able to put more detail in the location and what we would need to do to relocate utilities and other features as necessary.
This map just outlines the proposed sidewalk district here in red, and it shows all the parcels included. As you can see, there are about 460 single-family residential parcels, and then there are others such as vacant parcels, commercial, schools, daycare centers, so on. And each of these has been assigned one EDU, which is basically how much you're going to be paying for your parcel. So this is a, so these are all of the items that we had included in our initial cost estimate. On the left, we have a description of each item. In the middle here under units, these are just our basic units, lump sum, each linear feet, square yards, so on, just how we quantify everything. And then this is the actual quantity for each item in this far right column here. So using all of these, this is how we gather our cost estimate for right now. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm on the right one. Okay. Diving more into cost estimate. Currently, we have the project total at around 1.4 million. 920-ish thousand of that is directly going to construction. And then we also have legal engineering and admin fees built in, design and construction contingency, and that escalation, assuming that this will be constructed in 2027. The annual cost for one household without any funding, financed through a 30-year loan with a bond rate of 3.5%, is about $150. 145 of that is what you're paying directly for the project, and then the $7.50 is what we've allocated towards annual maintenance costs, and that is geared towards things such as sidewalk plowing and any basic sidewalk repairs as the concrete gets old and cracks, needs to be replaced, that sort of stuff. So again, this was with no funding. Now, this slide, this is assuming about 1.14 million in additional funding, or about 80% of the total project cost. We're currently seeking out grants to obtain this, but as of now, there's nothing solidified, but this is hopefully the path we're going down. And if we do go down this path, you can see the total annual costs with the same 30-year loan, 3.5% interest, drops down to $37.50. So we still have $750 going to the annual maintenance costs, and then $30 to the project as well. And this last one, forward. Sorry, it's going to be tricky. Okay, that's what I have to do. So this table is just showing a comparison of different loan payment options. This is still with that 1.14 million in additional funding, but I've broken it down into different payment period options. So the previous slide had 30 years at this cost, but as you can see, if we were to do a 15-year loan and you pay about $55 a year, you're going down, you're cutting interest almost in half, and so on. If you go to 5 years, yeah, you're paying a little bit more annually, but your interest that you're paying goes down as well. And again, this is also for a bond rate of 3.5%. Now, these are some of the next steps. We're all gathered here about the sidewalk district formation. Then after that, seeking additional funding efforts, financing, then we get into the fun part of the actual surveying and engineering, gathering easements like I had mentioned, and then down the line, construction. There we go. All right.
So first off, questions from the board?
So it was a little hard to see, could you review again the financials? If you could pull up that slide and just walk us through it again to understand what troubles me.
Is it this one with the options or?
For the overall.
One past that, I think.
Well, we're broken down by 30 year, 15 year,
Yeah.
5 year.
Oh, okay, they're not.
So per household, right, the 37.50 or the 55 or the 1.
Correct.
Per household in the sidewalk district over 30 years is that amount of interest. And then if you go down, still per household in the sidewalk district.
Can you speak up, please?
I just read the slide.
He was just explaining.
So, and I think this is an important slide to look at, because I know we've had conversations, $50 per household was the market we were looking for. So what, when we talked with Labella about how to present this information is, so first off, what we're gonna do in the short term is try to create a sidewalk district. We then have 17 more steps before we even get to the part of where we're constructing the sidewalk. There's gonna be opportunities through that time. We're gonna have to have a resolution on the bond, or a public hearing on the bond resolution. There's gonna be a lot of time for that back and forth, and also, a lot of it is gonna depend on the amount of funding we get. And ideally, the goal is to wait until we have enough additional funding to meet that $50 maximum per household. But we just wanted to make it clear that once we get there, I know we talked about $50 per year, but it might be something to have a conversation with the community, is 5 years at $125, and then every subsequent year of maintenance cost, is that better or more preferred? Because at the end of the day, everyone in this district is bearing the cost of that interest, all together. So that's why we wanted to make sure that was in here, just to show folks that, while we have a target, there's gonna be, this is gonna require some flexibility back and forth. And it might just come down to the idea, we have to wait an additional year to get more funding, so that we can get that $50.
Thank you, Supervisor. So what this demonstrates, so if you did the 37 for 30 years or 38 for 30 years, ultimately you're paying about $1,200. So you go down to $55 for 15 years, you're paying about $825. And if you pay $125 for 5 years, your cost is $625. I mean, that's because there's that interest is so much lower. So in the long run, you'd be paying almost half if you went with the 5-year option. They're certainly not making any decisions tonight, but we certainly wanted to be able to provide the public with the funding options.
Is there an option for a lower bond rate if you go with the lesser amount of years?
I don't know the answer to that, Michael, but I think we're using that 3.5 right now, it's just a general coverall to be safe.
So I will say, we've already been talking to bond council about some of the other projects we have. And so as we continue those conversations, this, the rate that's presented here will come much more into focus once we understand the current values.
The bond rate will change depending on how many years it is. It's not, it won't be the same, and it depends on, like, interest rates have been so all over the place that, like, the yield curve for bonds has been inverted off and on for the last however many years. So, these are literally changing every day. So we have to look and see it. Because right now, some of the shorter term bonds, which normally pay the lowest interest rate, are actually paying some of the highest.
Right,
So that really doesn't happen all too.
that's a great point, Caitlin. Again, this is a very broad brush right now, just.
For demonstrating.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know it's very preliminary and we're talking about potential funding down the road, but in terms of that 80% grant funding, what are you targeting for that? Where are you fishing for those grant funds?
That is the Transportation Assistance Program, I believe it is. It's called the TAP.
Yep.
And I know that we've discussed this with Supervisor Deere and others, and I think that's our initial target.
Yep.
But we would also, and we certainly have a lot of folks at Labella that do, that's all they do is grants. And we would dig in and look for other opportunities, William, of where we might be able to target. But that TAP is our initial.
Primary.
Yes.
But, so for example, this could be your code application, there's a number of funding streams, but one that does stick out as potential is also reaching out to our state reps. We have not had capital projects like this available when that funding comes around. And so now that we have something that's, as much as we can say supported by the community, I am hopeful that this creates an attractive project for them to get behind. Also understanding that if they can, get money for us, the sidewalk gets built sooner and people have to pay less. So it's, hopefully they agree that it's a pretty good deal.
I just wanted to clarify something you said. You did say that you're not going to even start this project until it's only a $50 additional charge to the neighborhood people.
As of right now,
No, I'm asking you yes or no. Because what I'm hearing is, we're gonna put the cart in front of the horse, and we're gonna go out and make all these plans, and then we're gonna figure out where the money comes from. For the average person, we have to go the other way. So my question to you is, your words were, we won't begin this project until we're down to a $50 mark. Is that what you said, and do you hold to that? It's a yes or no, it's not an argument.
If it's yes or no, I'm gonna refuse it, because it's just not a yes or no question. There are multiple phases of this project, we're at the district creation level, so we have to put these plans together.
Then I misunderstood you. Is that what you're saying?
So-
That that's not what you said?
Can I just ask a clarifying question? Are you saying he said that tonight, or was this
Yes,
in a
he
separate
did, he
meeting?
said that just 5 minutes ago.
No, that's not what I heard him say. He said that there was a goal initially to have it at the $50 mark. And that we wanted to get funding streams and more of a definite answer as to what funding streams were gonna be, so that you could be near at that $50 mark and make everyone happy. That was the goal. But what I heard the supervisor say was, looking at these different options that we have, it might be more enticing to pay it off sooner and save money, which, it won't be anything that we say, this is what you're doing, it'll be with public input, which way you go, but I didn't hear him say what you asked him.
Okay, then I misunderstood, my apologies. The other question I really have is, what percentage of people that live in that neighborhood have you actually gotten signed on the petition versus Manlius in general?
Yeah, so, what was the figure?
It was 65 to 67% in that's just in the districts. Outside of the districts, we have what, 200 or 300 more outside of the district, but just in the sidewalk district that they're proposing, it's about 65 to 67.
Right, and I'm not against the sidewalks. My big thing is that you're putting the cart before the horse. And you're saying, we're gonna go ahead and do all this stuff, and then we'll see if we get the
I
money.
appreciate that, just, we're looking for other clarifying questions about this, so that we can open up the public hearing.
Yeah, just, kind of following up on hers, is there a cap? We say, $55 on a 15-year bond, okay, thereabouts. But is there a cap? If it gets to $80 on a 15-year bond, do we have the right to pull the plug? And
So-
say, we're not doing this.
When the town, when we get to the point where we have collected funding from other sources and we're looking to go out to bond for whatever the amount left is, that is a public process that requires a public hearing, this kind of back and forth. And if we go out to bond, when it would set up, if that bond resolution says that, residents are gonna be paying $80, that'll be something you'll be aware of, that we'll have a public hearing to discuss if that is good or not good. And then that board will take into consideration the public feedback on that. But as it stands, the goal really, what we would consider successfully funded is no more than $50 per house.
With a 15-year bond,
With a 30-year.
with a 30-year bond.
Yeah, if we wanna stick to
That's at
50.
37.50.
This is just illustrative, that's.
I mean, am I reading that wrong? That's
Yeah, no,
just
so what this is a demonstration of where things lie right now, right, with an anticipated funding. So there's other options to get other funding, like other grants. And if we get more grants than we projected, it could bring the cost below the 50 even.
And if we get
And we
no,
won't know that yet,
so
so
if we get no grants.
if we get no grants, that this whole thing would be revisited, I would believe.
If we
Right.
didn't get any grants, my expectation would be that the project would not move forward because it would be too expensive. So in
That
what,
would certainly be my expectation.
Okay, so let's cut that
If I-
conversation, I would really like to open the public hearing.
I know, but I would just like to explain this slide, just because I want to make sure that everyone understands this one piece. Like what this is illustrating is that the longer you have it out for, the more you're gonna pay overall, but the less you're gonna pay annually. The assumed bond rate of 3.5 is made up. And so these figures are meaningless. It's just to illustrate that you'll pay less per year, but way more overall. That's it. So no one say, oh, well, you said it was gonna be 37.50 for 30 years. We did not. This is just to illustrate the effect of the interest rate on the overall cost of the project.
Yeah, it's not exactly meaningless though, because this is assuming total cost, which they have, and
Correct, yeah.
And then, with the target amount of funding, which we could get more, which would bring this chart
Because
down.
these figures are
Yeah.
never going to actually be what they are no matter
Right,
what.
because and that's probably, is that a dot or a star, we're assuming that it's a rate of 3.5, so you can see, similar to like when you go get a consolidation loan or something. They-
Well, sure, I understand that, but this.
All right, sir, we're gonna move on to the public hearing, and then if you'd like to make a comment, you'll be more than welcome.
I didn't know.
No,
I
absolutely,
don't know how.
no worries.
That's okay.
Any
We
other
kind of
questions or
got
comments
off
from the
on
board
that.
before we go to the public hearing? What's that?
Dimensional diagram of where the proposed sidewalks would be, or we.
Yeah.
Because we.
This one right here?
Yeah. At some point, if you look across the road, why and where?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, we're showing this would be beginning up at, the north end, would be on the west side. Okay? This is the town of Manlius. The west side is the village of Fayetteville.
Yeah.
North side, I'm sorry. Thank you. As it comes down, on the east side, we pick the point, and again, this is all gonna be depend on utility location, survey, et cetera. This is concept. We pick a location to come over onto the west side, which would come down and continue down Cattanova Road. Nothing set in stone. Doing field reconnaissance, walking, we thought that this location as shown on this concept would be the most appropriate place at this time. Doesn't mean it's,
Why not all on one side?
first of all, the northern portion is in village.
Okay,
This is a town district,
okay,
so we want to keep it in the town.
okay, all right, that makes sense.
Plus, the,
Is the village in the town of Manlius?
it is,
Okay.
but there's a townwide district. Or a town sidewalk district, not a village district. Also, there's significant number of driveways. Not only is that in the village, but there's driveway cuts all the way along, which makes it a little bit more challenging and more costly.
Quickly just read off the names of the side street because it's blurry.
Yeah.
This.
So this is Decoy Run right here. And then this is Hoyle Lake Drive right here.
Just the outline.
Okay, this is Glen Eagle Drive. This is Penstock Way, Iliad Drive right here. Drinkwater Lane, and then Sugarland Drive right here. And then this is East Center Turnpike. You're welcome.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Sure.
So I would entertain a motion to waive the reading and open the public hearing.
Real quick.
So a motion
Second.
to waive the reading of the public hearing. All those in favor?
No, the waiting on the reading of the public notice. Mike said it. Intersected.
All those opposed? Okay, next motion.
Oh, I would have-
Open public hearing. For the sidewalk.
Such a great.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Who initially?
Mike first.
Mike, thank you.
Okay.
No, Alyssa, and for the last motion, Alyssa made it and I started.
Yeah.
Mike made the first motion and Ingrid seconded.
Okay, so if you are joining us via Zoom, please use the raise hand function. We'll get you queued up, and I would ask anyone in the first row if you'd like to come up and make a comment. Okay.
I'll take it. So years ago, there was another occasion where a sidewalk was proposed. It didn't go anywhere.
Could you just share with us your name and,
Benjamin Levy, on Hoyle Lake Drive, and I'm firmly in favor of this.
thank you.
I'd like to know what happened, if there's any recollection of what happened
What do you?
last time, but it didn't work.
Yeah, this came up quite a while ago.
On
Yeah, maybe
Andrews Road?
15 years
Yeah,
ago.
so I think there's a couple of ways to answer that question. First and foremost, I think really you have to give the credit to former Councilor Elaine Denton, who, when we were very lucky to get ARPA funds, and through the comprehensive planning process, we learned that people really, really want sidewalks. And thanks to Elaine, she put together a community-driven approach We had a conversation about how to get this done, and we all agreed that politicians knocking on your door and saying, hey, would you like to pay $50 more in taxes every year? Was not a good strategy, and so what we did was we empowered the community to, if, you know, whoever wants to create a sidewalk in their community, come to us, we'll have a conversation, we'll pass some petitions, and this portion of the community is the first one that took us up on the offer. So,
And credit to Monica
Yes.
Browning, who really steered.
It's also the, like changing philosophies. There was a project proposed on Route 92 connecting the villages of Fayetteville and Manlius. And people showed up to the public hearings with their lawyers, like threatening to sue, saying that we don't want those people walking in front of our houses. Like it was very covered in the media at the time. So it was many years ago, but the people seem to appreciate these things more than they did. That it used to be much less in vogue than it is today. So it's really like a turning of the tide. I imagine we did probably to that project at the time as well.
anyone else on the first row? Okay, just a reminder, if you are here in Zoom, please use the raise hand function. Anyone in the second row?
My name is Nikki Bisson. I've lived on 4757 Andrews Road since 1975. And I think it's a sin when we're within a half a mile of 3 schools that it's unsafe to walk on Andrews Road. And really, if you want to know it's unsafe, go out there now with the snowbanks. We're paying good money for a wonderful phys ed program. And then we're saying to our children, we're gonna bus you. And I see kids all the time walking up the street. I've said to kids, walk on my grass. I'm afraid you're going to get killed. And I walked today, and unfortunately it was at 2:15, and all the buses went down. And I literally had to go on the snowbank to let the traffic go by. I'm all in favor of it, and I'm hope we never have to have a child killed on that road to wake us up for maximum, maybe target $50 a year. My children were worth more, and they had to be bused. And I love walking around, and I'm out there all the time.
Anyone else in the second row? Okay, open up to the third row.
My name is Harper. I go to Enders Road and I have a lot of friends who are walkers, and they tell me stories about how scary it is to walk down that road some days. And I hope that we can have sidewalks someday.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the third row?
Hi, I'm Bethany Bach. I lived on Iliad Drive for 9 years, and now I live on Prospect Drive for the last 3 years. So both in the sidewalk district, both times. So I'm here to speak in favor of building sidewalks along Enders, which runs by 2 of our local schools and is a path directly to the 3rd. The decision to invest in safe, accessible infrastructure for our community, particularly for our children, should be a top priority. As we all know, our children's safety is of the utmost importance. Currently, many students walk or bike to the school and between the schools for sports events, often navigating dangerous roadways with no designated path to protect them from traffic. Without sidewalks, they are forced to walk in the streets, putting them at unnecessary risk. In many areas, there are speeding cars and limited visibility that create hazardous conditions, particularly during the busy school drop-off and pickup times. Building sidewalks would not only provide a safe space for students to walk, but would also promote a healthier and more active lifestyle, encouraging walking and biking that would reduce traffic congestion around the school and lower our community's carbon footprint. Sidewalks improve accessibility for all members of the community, whether it's parents walking their children to school, elderly residents out for a stroll, or those with disabilities that need a reliable path to navigate on. This investment benefits our entire community, creating safer streets and encouraging outdoor activity and fostering a sense of well-being and connection amongst neighbors. By supporting this proposal, we are not just improving infrastructure, but we're making a statement about our values, and that's we care about the safety and the future of our children.
Thank you. Anyone else from the third row?
Tom Bassett, retired real estate lawyer, and longtime town resident. I was gonna say, I'm a Mott Road, Wellwood guy, so I probably shouldn't be here speaking on the subject. Yeah, but I did have a sister who lived on Penstock Way, but they failed to go to Tully Lake, and so they're not involved. I just want to say I'm in support of this project. It's been a longstanding need. There are obvious safety issues involved. I appreciate the fact that the ordinance that was passed to create a process that could result in the establishment of a sidewalk district was an important thing to pass. It's inspirational that there was obviously motivated citizenry within the area who became organized and sought the consummation of this project. Without that kind of broad support, it's unlikely to have occurred. So the report seems to be comprehensive, seems to be logical, and that's to be lauded. I've heard the financing issues that have been discussed, and that's obviously a concern in this day and age of constantly increasing taxes and other expenses. Just to bring on a real estate attorney hat momentarily, I just was wondering about the easement issues, potential easement issues, because there isn't any survey map yet that would depict, among other things, the precise width of Enders Road, and the proposed sidewalk location may or may not be within the Enders Road right of way. And so that then creates a possible need to acquire easements from who knows how many adjoining property owners. And that creates a problem if those property owners are not unwilling to grant such easements without getting paid, or not grant them at all, thereby necessitating condemnation of such easements. So there's a budgeted item of about $50,000 in the plan for easements, but I'm not sure how that number was arrived at, and you know what that actually envisioned. So otherwise, this is an excellent example of local government at work, and we all have an awareness of how other levels of government are having difficulty in that regard. So I commend you on this going ahead with this project. I just wish it somehow, some way, this could be a prelude to doing something about Fayetteville Manlius Road, where there's an incredible need for something similar along that. And projects have been floated in the past, just have not gone anywhere. So
There's nothing to stop that from happening. This is replicable. The whole point of this is that it is replicable. So if you know of anyone on FN Road that wants to play Monica Brownie to another group of people, then this is absolutely something that our plan is, or our hope is that this continues to happen throughout the town.
I'm not sure, but I think there's been resistance on the part of property owners along that road to the concept.
That's true, but it was 15, 20 years ago now. So a lot of those people.
Was it that long ago?
It was actually, yeah. I mean, I was a little bit.
Well, anyway, thanks so much for your attention.
Thank you very much.
The same is true for Mont Road too. If you're over there, Tom, you could do it for Mont Road.
Our kids are gone.
No, we're still paying the tax.
Just a reminder, anybody that's joining us via Zoom, please use the raise hand function. We'll get you slotted in. Anyone else from the third row?
Barbara Conklin. I live on Water Gap. I walk my dog every morning for about an hour. We often end up on Enders Road. We ended up on Enders Road just yesterday or maybe the day before for the first time in a long time. And we got down to Kimball and Enders Road, and I took one look at it. I said, Essie, there's no place for us to go because of the snowbanks from all the snow plows. And so my second thought was, I wonder if there's gonna be maintenance, who's gonna clear off all of those sidewalks? So I was really pleased to see that maintenance is included. So I am very much in favor of this project. Certainly I would love to have sidewalks while I'm walking the dog, and certainly sidewalks that are being maintained during the winter time. So thank you very much.
Anyone else from the third row? You didn't use all your time before. So you're more than welcome.
So right now, if you would use sidewalks, it would be about 1.5 miles, but if we added the sidewalks along where it has been planned, it should be about 0.5 mile from where I live, and I live on Barksdale Lane.
So a shorter walk, right?
Very much.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go back, we're gonna go to the fourth row now. Anybody in the fourth row would like to come and make a comment?
My name is Kevin Murphy. I live on Druids Glen, up in Winnebago. First, you'll think a lot of my comments are negative, but I'm for a sidewalk on Enders Road. But I think the way it's proposed is not right. Is there a way we can put the map back up?
I don't know. You still log in as a provider?
We're still on step mode.
Okay, we can get back to the map. That's another thing. From what I've seen, there's about 15 homes with direct driveways on Enders Road, the entire Enders Road. 15. 4 of those are, only 4 of those are on the side where the proposed sidewalk would be. So the other ones still have no access to a sidewalk. You'd have to cross the road to get to a sidewalk. 4 houses on Enders Road would get a sidewalk. From Pembroke down to the Nice and Easy, there's no homes. There's a school, there's another little daycare school, then there's an empty lot, and then there's the Nice and Easy. So more than half of this stretch, there's no homes on it where the proposed sidewalk is. None, 0. However, after Pembroke, there is a sidewalk. It comes from prior. Oh, yeah. You little thing. All right, so from right about, this is Glen Drive, there's a sidewalk that starts right here. Goes here, goes here, goes here. And actually, here's a very nice, even newer sidewalk that goes all the way along here, all the way along here, all the way to here. Okay, am I right?
Yep.
Yes. Then here, there's a drainage ditch, which easily put a sidewalk there, no problem. Open lot, sure there's an easement there because it's near a corner. Okay, so from here to here to here to here, so all the way to right here. Already sidewalks, or easily done sidewalks from here to here, that should easily take a lot of cost out of this project. Here, I don't know if anybody's ever come out of the high school and tried to make this left-hand turn here. That is probably a spot where you would cross over to the sidewalk. That's a non-starter. That is probably one of the most dangerous crossings in Manlius.
You mean to take a right-hand turn?
No,
From
if you're walking from the high school and you try to cross right here, over here, there's a sidewalk that comes down here. There's not one here. Right? Okay. Oops, did I just do that?
Maybe.
Okay. So there, if you're coming through the village of Manlius, okay? You know where you cross over there with the flashing lights and you take the right to go up to 92?
Like
Okay.
heading towards Casanova.
Going toward Tasnovia, okay? That turn right there, there's sometimes a red arrow that is red. I almost never noticed it, and I've lived here for 45 years, okay? There's a crosswalk there, it's almost the same situation as this, and there's a stoplight. That is a super dangerous place for anybody to cross. This would be just as bad with a high volume of kids at this school and this school, and now you're giving them an opportunity to put a crosswalk here, which would entail something to get across here. My wife was in the first class that went to Enders Road, okay, 45 years ago, kindergarten.
I was on that road. I told you.
Yes, 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 okay.
So if I had a
Has there
car-
ever been an accident on the Enders Road
Oh my gosh.
with a
I thought I
child?
was told.
With a child?
Wait a minute.
I'm asking a question.
Are you asking a
If
vehicle
we're
versus
understanding-
pedestrian?
A pedestrian.
There's been a lot of accidents on there.
Has there been a
I was a
pedestrian
firefighter
accident?
in Manlius.
We're talking about a sidewalk for a pedestrian, not a car.
Yeah, so are you
Has
asking,
there
did the
been
car hit a person?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
Let's
Look,
remember.
I'm saying I'm for the
Just excuse me for
sidewalk.
1 minute,
I'm
sir.
for the sidewalk.
This is a comment to the board.
Right.
I appreciate the feedback, but let's keep this focused. You are giving us a comment.
Yes.
It's not really a question and answer. So
Okay.
if you'd like to continue with your comment.
My comment is, I'm pretty sure there's never been a pedestrian accident in the road on Enders Road. And my wife was in the first class there going to kindergarten 45 years ago. Or so, 45, 53 years ago. 53, maybe 58 years ago. Okay, so to my knowledge, there's never been an accident with a pedestrian, without a sidewalk. So, here,
The comment is, it's not necessary.
no, I'm not saying it's not necessary, but we'll get to that.
3 to 5 minutes.
Has anybody ever come out of the high school and crossed over the road that's over here that comes into Academy Hill?
Yes, I do it all the time.
Okay, so you can walk from there, you can come up here, you can come here, and you can get over to Pembroke, right here. And that comes out here, or you go to the other side of Pembroke, you come out right to the sidewalk. Penstock, thank you, Penstock, and you can come right out to the sidewalk.
Well,
So from here to here to here to
Alright.
here.
Okay, let's just go over ground rules again. This is a comment to the board, and I respect everyone's, eagerness to respond, but in order for this to be productive and also on the recording, we do need this to maintain a back and forth with the board.
Thank you.
Also, sir, if you just wrap up your comment, well, you're more than welcome to come back up, we just gotta make sure everybody gets a turn.
Oh, I got you. Okay, so there's a way to get from the high school all the way down here with just one little stretch of non-existing sidewalk. You can come out of the back of the school, you can cut through there, right? You can cut anywhere. You can, all of Glen Eagle, you can come down, you can come down Glen Eagle and cross with a hired, paid, instructed crossing guard. Okay? And you cross over and you never have to touch a sidewalk. You walk across, you go to Enders Road School and you're there. You can come down Glen Eagle from anywhere in Glen Eagle, walk through, or whatever it is, Penstock, or cut through the Enders Road School and go over to the high school. You never have to touch a sidewalk, ever. It's completely safe. Would it be pretty and nice to have a sidewalk on Enders Road? Might make somebody's walk slightly less? I've lived there forever. There's not that many kids that walk. Okay, we have buses, we have paid buses. I live
Sir,
there.
you're addressing us,
They're addressing me.
and it's your responsibility to remember that you're making. a
I'm
public
trying,
comment.
I'm trying.
I'd ask you to sit down. If you'd like to continue your comment towards the end of the public hearing, once everyone's had a turn, we'll have you back up.
Okay, would you like me to do that?
Yes, please. Okay, anyone else from the fourth row?
One comment, but I think I'll leave it till the end so that when you make me sit down, I'll at least have said what I needed to say. I agree with what you're saying completely. That corner is very frightening, and I think maybe I'm in favor of the sidewalks. I think maybe relooking at that is an important factor, but I think it's kind of part of why many of us are against it. It's the haphazard method. Did nobody bother to notice that if you try and get a bus off of 92 to turn, the cars have to back up? And you're also gonna have kids crossing there when there's no sight lines to 92 coming from the high school at all. So to my way of thinking, either put it on the other side of the street, or maybe just do away with that part. Because there's no safe way to get through there at all. And then you've got, this whole money thing drives me insane. Because again, I can't wrap my mind around the fact that you're planning all of this. You've got these gentlemen spending their time, and you don't even know if it's something you can afford. And Monica, I respect everything that you've done, but I know many people that did not understand that you were then that this is going to be a long-term payment and not a one-time payment. And they're not really happy about it. So I wonder to myself, as you're going through all these steps, and the points that you made perfect sense, and nobody noticed that, as well as we have no idea how it gets paid for. And it coming out of my money does not seem very fair. If we don't even know what you're going to participate and spend. Right now, we're in it for $152 with no argument. Well, that was with no bonds or whatever else. Do you have any bonds, any of that even in the works yet?
We can't apply for any funding until we have a district that exists. That's just the law. So we're just trying to follow the law and do what the law prescribes, the process that it prescribes for us.
Okay.
So when if we decide to create a sidewalk district, we will be able to go after these funds and actually acquire them. But as of right now, this is a necessary step to get to that phase. And we have experts here, you know, Mr. Simon has been doing this for 30 years.
And I have a great deal of respect, but I do wonder if you've really been up standing on that, in that corner and putting that in addition to all of your expertise. So if you're not somebody that's out on that corner, you're certainly not going to realize the danger involved with that. And if nobody's letting him know.
So just to address that, Labella and the highway superintendent and myself walked Enders Road. I believe they walked it multiple times since then. During peak hours, when we expect traffic to be highest, I think we've been working on this project almost, since the beginning of last year. So we've had multiple opportunities to show them the site. They're looking at traffic data. They're taking in all the information they can to make these decisions.
And they haven't, they didn't propose a finalized, fully engineered plan to put the sidewalk there. It's just highlighting the area that is proposed. So the point of today is for you guys to come forward as residents and say, hey, you know what, I got a concern. If you are to design this, we have a concern way up here at the top where you come out of the high school and we don't think people could cross.
Like this
And
is,
that's duly noted when they start to engineer and put forth an actual plan. But this isn't a finalized, like, actual.
So there will
plan.
be another, and I know we're not supposed to ask questions, but I have to. So there will be additional hearings to decide whether modifications or whatever, and once we get down to a cost evaluation, there will be hearings at which point we can speak and say no, or produce a petition that shows a majority of people don't want what you're presenting. Is that correct?
So really, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this project doesn't happen without a bond resolution at some point.
Okay.
And a bond resolution requires a public hearing. I think it's got advanced public notice. And if the board votes in a way that the majority of folks don't agree with, it is subject to permissive referendum. So a petition could be passed to force it to go on a ballot.
Okay, that sounds perfect. And the last thing is, I noticed when everybody was up here siding with the sidewalks, you were very understanding. But when this gentleman stood up here and he was getting heckled by the people there, you were not very polite or very friendly. And that doesn't create an open environment to discuss things. Just something to think about.
Ma'am, can I just get your name for the record?
Oh, sure. It's Chris, C-H-R-I-S, and last name is Rudio, R-U-D-I-O.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Fourth row?
Hi, my name is Mary Ward. I don't live in the sidewalk district, but I live in the FM school district. I am a retired chemistry teacher from the high school. My kids all went there, and I live in Academy Hill on Pembroke. So there was no bus allowed for them because we were less than a mile to all the schools. And getting to the high school, my daughter actually was grazed by a car when she was walking to high school on 173. Before there were sidewalks on 173, before there was signs for crossing, and so going from Academy Hill across to the softball fields into the district office, there was no sidewalks or anything like that, and she was going to high school and she was grazed by a car. And so that was really scary. She's in her 30s now. Anyway, I, as a teacher, as a former teacher, and currently as a substitute teacher at the high school, I walk Enders Road all the time to get there. Yes, I could go all the way through Academy Hill and down the hill, which there are no sidewalks, and across the light, there's no light, across, where my daughter was hit, across the DO, up the hill, all the way back to House 1. I mean, it's long. Yes, I would have to leave 15 or 20 minutes earlier. I do like to walk, but going Enders Road is really fast. I cannot walk on Enders Road if there's any snow or any bad weather because it doesn't get plowed. The side of the shoulder thing doesn't get plowed. And it can be messy and muddy and draining, whatever. So I agree though 100% that intersection could be deadly. It is, I would prefer to see the sidewalks on the west side where it comes back to the east on the west side, but I know that is complicated with Village of Manlius property. But I agree that there definitely needs to be a lot of work on 173 on that intersection of Enders Road and 173, even though you blocked it. Because especially if middle school kids are walking up to high school for practice, 7th and 8th graders, or they're going up for all sorts of different things. They're crossing over, they'd be crossing here, down here. They get up here, they have to cross over, walk on that little sidewalk, cross again over to the high school. And it is dangerous. So if you could make an extra effort to look at that intersection a little bit more to make it safer, that would be really greatly appreciated.
What years did your kids graduate from then?
11, 9, 6, and 4. 2004, 2006, 2009, 2011.
I was 05, and I
Yeah.
remember your kids, one of them graduated with my sister.
Yeah.
So you can tell her Megan says hi. I'll tell Megan.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We have another hand on the fourth row.
Hello, my name is Sarah Pinsky. We live on Pressburg Drive. So I am here to passionately advocate for the town of Manlius to proceed with the installation of sidewalks on Enders Road. I'll make just a few points in favor, many of which have already been said tonight. We live in the Glen Eagle subdivision. We bought our house in 2011 primarily because of the proximity to the schools. We wanted our kids to be able to walk to school. Our daughter now is a sophomore at high school, and she has to walk home from school multiple times a week. The bus isn't an option. She stays after, she has clubs. It's not on demand. So she has to walk down Enders. During spring and fall, it's dangerous. There's traffic. There are students trying to cross around each other. There are kids riding bikes, adults riding bikes, and the shoulder just isn't wide enough for safe passage. During the winter, it's even more so. So in addition to limited visibility from the weather, as noted, the highway department doesn't clear the shoulder. So you're forcing students into the road. And my daughter now has had to jump into snowbanks multiple times to avoid getting hit. I think we can agree that's not the kind of existence we want for our students here. And if there's a solution, shouldn't we thoroughly exhaust all the options to find a way to make it happen? You know, the sidewalk, of course, isn't just for high school students, although that is certainly my perspective now. Our elementary and middle school students, as Harper so beautifully stated, they also need a safer route to school. You know, a benefit to note that is not a big deal, that sidewalks will allow families attending all of our events at Eagle Hill and Enders and the high school to walk instead of driving. We have such a car-driven community because there are so few sidewalks. We want to be encouraging people to be out. I will add, you know, I'm using our current experience to advocate for this, but based on the timing, my kids probably aren't going to benefit. Charlotte certainly won't, and my son Nathan, who's 2 years behind her, probably won't much at all. So for me, this is far more about what is best for the community versus what is best for my kids, but their experience shapes my perspective and what I want for other families. So there are two other points I want to make. Most importantly, someone else referenced this, this is an inclusion issue. If you have any type of limited mobility, you have no way to get down Enders Road. Safely or unsafely, you really cannot make your way down. And I'll just also add that at night, it is pitch black. There's one light where we pay for, but if you go further down Enders, there's no light. So you're essentially limiting the usage of Enders to daytime use because there's no safe place to go. I mean, generally speaking, I just think we should be doing more to encourage residents to be outside. And I'm so grateful to the neighbors who have spoken tonight and those who have advocated already. And I hope for our entire community's sake, the project proceeds. Are there alternatives to Enders Road? Absolutely. We can go through different neighborhoods. You know, it's very easy to pick a scenario where, yes, we can go through this subdivision or other. Obviously, that doesn't accommodate the largest number of families. It's also very easy to spend other people's time and say another 5 or 10 minutes isn't a big deal. Until you're talking about a student or a parent or a family member or a resident or a senior citizen whose time is valuable. Any project in a community will have dissent, of course, sometimes loud dissent. There's inconvenience for some, but in this instance, the public good should just outweigh both. So too often, we wait until after a disaster occurs to respond, and that's even been a topic of conversation tonight. How terrible would we feel if a disaster actually took place? God forbid, something happened to one of our kids. And we said, well, we talked about it, but man, it was just too hard to make it possible. I could never live with myself if I didn't speak out in favor. So I appreciate the opportunity to make my feelings known, and I appreciate the consideration of the project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, come on, sorry.
I gotta go. So. I live in the village of Fayetteville, love my sidewalks. I don't have an opinion on Enders Road, but I do think if any neighborhood in the town of Manlius decides they want sidewalks, I just want you guys to know that in the winter, we have our sidewalks plowed, but there's many, many people that walk in the road because they're icy. So anybody that's thinking they're gonna be able to walk on sidewalks in the winter, it is an issue. So just when you're moving forward, maybe someone can be creative and come up with an idea how to not have sidewalks be icy in winter. That would be great. Well, yeah, I doubt we're gonna do that, but, you know, just so you know, something everyone says, you know, oh, sidewalks are great, but they're great for 3/4 of the year. But in winter, I walk all over. I walk in the road.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Jeff, if you wanna.
All right, first letter we received, it says, please share this letter with the public hearing on 12 February 2025 regarding the proposal to form a sidewalk district for an Enders Road sidewalk. I cannot attend the meeting I cannot attend the hearing as I will be traveling that evening. I'm in full support of the construction of a sidewalk on Enders Road. I have lived on Prestwick Drive in Manlius since 2003. Our 3 children grew up here, attending Enders Road Elementary School, Eagle Hill Middle School, and FM High School. I wish that a sidewalk had existed for them. I believe that a sidewalk on Enders Road is an important amenity for the area of Manlius, considering that Enders Road connects 3 of the 6 schools in the Fayetteville Manlius School District. I hate seeing our children walking on the narrow shoulder of Enders Road when we have the power to make them safer by providing a sidewalk. Not only will a sidewalk along Enders Road improve the safety of our children, it will promote walking in the general community, which should be a positive impact on both the physical and the mental health of our community. I hope the Manlius Town Board will agree to this community improvement, a necessity that I believe is long overdue. Thank you for your consideration, Valerie Clark. The second letter states, Dear Sarah and Carrie, I'm writing in regards to the sidewalks plan for Enders Road. Sarah, you gave me your card during the meeting at Eagle Hill, and Carrie's information was recently provided in a letter regarding the upcoming public hearing. I have concerns regarding the project, but I do think it's important improvement for the safety of the community. In the name of safety, I'm requesting that the crosswalk is provided at the corner of Decoy Run and Enders Road. Many people cross at Decoy daily, and I have witnessed too many close call situations while working in my yard or sitting on my front porch. I live on that corner. Each year, more people seem to cross the street there. Students who walk to and from school, FM athletes run that route, families pushing strollers on their way to the playground, dog walkers, people who park on Decoy to attend school functions, and plenty of other pedestrians can be seen daily. At some point, I was told that a crosswalk was not allowed there, but the reason did not make sense, especially since it is the only intersection near the school without a crosswalk. Furthermore, Decoy Run marks an area where people tend to pick up speed from either direction. A crosswalk would help slow things down. I'm hoping to attend the meeting on February 12th, but I have an appointment that may get in the way. If I can attend, I was hoping that this request could be made for me. Thanks for your help. Sincerely, Sue Burbeck.
So last call for anyone who hasn't spoken yet, vote here.
Hello, good evening. My name is Keith Thomas. I live on 8041 Merrimack. I have a high school senior, Alex, who's 17, and daughter 15. We live in Merrimack, and our route, my children were in Enders Road and Eagle Hill. To get to school, to visit friends after school, or throughout. We walk up Limestone and then go up Pompey Center to Circle K and up the road. I'm going to say this, and the reason why I came here, I'm very passionate about this, is that about 4 years ago, I almost lost my daughter while going for a walk, just to the no place in Pass. This is a project. I'm speaking on behalf of the district as for a project, for sponsorship for a project for the sidewalks, but I also see a need for a sponsorship of some significant work that needs to be done to the roadway itself. The roadway is 2 lanes, barely 11, 12 feet, here. And the shoulder is not even a foot wide. You have to walk inside the traffic line. I know for a fact, so I looked at myself to try to help support, I think it's a 60-foot easement that belongs to the town of Manlius. Highway department, that is right away. That means everybody has the right to walk, bike, wheelchair, whatever means. It does not matter. You have the right of way. It's a public right. And what you think is your front yard is not your front yard. That is and belongs to the right of way. Everybody needs to understand that. And that is for a purpose. And the town has that right, it's just throughout. So I'm speaking on behalf, and I see a need for both sidewalks. I would like to even see that it goes all the way down to Pompey Center. The reason being is that Pompey Center is adequate, it's about 4 or 5 foot a shoulder. You can go from any of the preserve or any of the other places. The kids love to go to Circle K. I know they do, they get the candy, they actually have a place to hang out. And so it's not just the end down there, but it's also the other end. to be an advocate for, and again, I'm also an advocate for the road itself needs to be widened, drainage work needs to be done. There should be an easy petition for state funding and even federal funding if bill's still available, that will hopefully help, supplement the project, so, thank you.
Thank you. Share yet? Okay, anyone would like to come back up?
Kevin Murphy. Then I'll preface this again, I'm not against sidewalks, although apparently a lot of people think I am, I'm not. What I'm against is the fairly limited amount of upfront work that was done by the engineering group to put this proposal together. And anybody could throw numbers together that show no payments. You know, maybe it's $500 a year for everybody that's in the special district. $500 one time, not $1,000 over so many years, or $5,000 over so many years. Maybe an offer should be made up front. Just, hey, guys, it's gonna be $500. You wanna buck it up now, or do you wanna pay whatever over 30 years? Most people probably take the 30 year because they're not gonna live there that long because the taxes are so high. Okay? Sorry. The arbitrary nature that I see in how this district was grabbed, it's actually probably not that arbitrary. It's all of Glen Eagle for the most part, okay? None of this area here, which apparently is in the village, right here, I don't know why they can't be included and pay a little, I don't know how that
Yeah,
works.
we can't.
Okay,
It would make sense, and like a lot of these points you're saying, and that the one that's sitting next to you make sense, like intuitively. You're right, it makes sense that we would line up all the money first. And no, dollar to the dollar, it makes sense that we would include all of the village. It just simply doesn't work like that, like the procedures and like you're not wrong to think that makes sense, it's just, that's why it's not
it's about
arbitrary.
30% of the sidewalk is where that abuts to.
Yes,
Okay? About 30%,
yeah,
30% of the cost.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have about 90% of the, what are the units that are gonna be applied into this special district? Okay, 90% of them come from Glen Eagle. My house is 7/10 of a mile from the bottom, from where you come out to the bottom at Andrews Road. I haven't had a child in that high school or Andrews Road School for 13 years. I still pay my taxes. I pay a heck of a lot of taxes. Okay, a lot of taxes. Okay, so $55 isn't gonna break my bank, but it should be done right and it should be done fair. And just to grab enough houses so we can get it down to $50 or $55, I know how things work, and that's probably what happened. No houses across the street on Tinderbox were grabbed in this money grab. Why? They're gonna benefit from it too, right? Yes, they are. Tinderbox is over here. I don't know the name of the development. It's right here. They're gonna benefit. Their kid's gonna wanna walk to Andrews Road, unless there's no kindergartners or, up through 8th grade kids living in there. Why wasn't that grabbed? There's an arbitrary stop going up into Mallard's Landing. It just stops at the top of, I think it's Kimball, I don't know. Right there, it just stops arbitrarily, okay? But yeah, at the other end of the road, you go and you grab a shopping center, and they're nice and easy, you grab them, make them pay for it, their portion. But nobody went across the street on 173 to go grab Tinderbox in that whole neighborhood. Spread it out, right? Make more people pay for it. Then it comes down to $40. And then when we have engineering overruns and cost overruns on construction, it might still come out to be 50. You need to expand the area that's included in the zone, in the special district. That needs to happen. I never had a say. Nobody came knocking on my door and said, hey, do you want to be in a special district so you can pay more tax money so your family can never walk on this sidewalk? Nobody came to my house and not said anything.
I knocked on your door. I talked to your wife.
What did my wife say?
She wasn't for it.
Yeah.
She wanted to know more information, I gave her all the information I have, but I can tell you, I knocked on your door, and I talked your way.
Okay. Fair enough.
And we did have several meetings in town hall, and we looked at many different iterations of which neighborhoods we could include. Not only to reduce the cost, but also to build even more sidewalks. And we decided that what made the most sense was, instead of trying to get everything done at once with one giant sidewalk district, that we would piecemeal it together. And other neighborhoods that Monica and her group they have spoken to people outside of this district that are eager for us to move forward with them, so there'll be more sidewalk districts that might include tinderbox, or that might be heading like on the road that's like connecting to like nice and easy, like that side going to the village, so like.
But look, I agree, it was great if I grew up in Long Island, there were sidewalks on every single street, anywhere you wanted to go, there were sidewalks, it was great. You go back there now, it's too crowded, but.
There was it wasn't completely arbitrary, I just want you to understand a lot of work went into actually figuring out.
Who
what
chose
the-
that? Who chose those houses?
It was a group effort that included some of the town councilors and the community group.
And the assessor and.
So it was to get it down to around $50.
It was.
Because you could have kept going.
What we decided was that to include too much of an area, because that we want to develop more sidewalks. So if we included more houses, then we would have also been expanding the sidewalk to connect it, so you can go from nice and easy to the village of Manlius. Like there's plans or hopes for plans for more. So it's not as simple as you're making it seem. It wasn't just, well, how many more houses can we grab to reduce the cost? That was not the conversation.
So do the people up in Mallards, would they benefit from this sidewalk?
I don't know.
There, Mallards, Mallards, where this arbitrary line drops off, okay? That line ends closer than my house. My house is 0.7, that arbitrary line down to Enders Road, it's probably 0.4. But because I'm in that way up there-ness, 0.7 of a mile away.
Sir, I just wanna make it really clear, that this is a public hearing,
Yeah.
and it's to receive comments, not to convince you that your opinion is wrong here, so.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get it all out there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know the best way to do it, but, you know.
You need to unlock your iPhone first.
Can I be part of it? Maybe that. You know, can I be part of this in the future? You know, how this crossing.
So
was
can I
not
say something to
addressed.
you, sir?
How this crossing was not
This
addressed
came,
is beyond my mind.
this came to fruition through, interaction and the community coming forward and community engagement and community and government partnership, right? And anybody who wants to be part of that can be part of that, and the whole project from start to finish is gonna continue to include the entire community. Ingrid and I are on the other side of town. We'd be happy, you know, not just because we're counselors, but to help and frankly, to watch the process, learn from the process, and we need sidewalks at North Bergen. Right, the $50 thing, until this past week started prepping for tonight's meeting and hearing, you know, the back and forth, I didn't even know about the $50 thing. So, you know, if you wanna know where that came from, I suggest maybe contacting the people who were on the committee or in the groups where it was determined that 50 was a reasonable amount to ask for from people. And then also how they determined, you know, what would this be? Because remember, we're calling it's a sidewalk district, like a water district, right? So it's an area. The area has to make sense.
Right.
I don't know, I
Usually when
can't tell you, I
you're in a
know
water
how it
district,
makes sense.
usually when you're in a water district, okay, you're getting water line in front of your property, and then you get a line to your house. This is 0.7 of a mile from my house.
Sure, sir, I wanna make sure that we're understanding the content of your comments, and so if I'm understanding correctly, nobody here who's spoken
I think
tonight.
the district is not drawn correctly. I think it needs to include more and exclude some. I don't think it's fairly done.
Fairness, that's what I was driving at. Thank you
Okay.
for clarifying, you don't think it's a fair process.
Yep.
You know, conceptually, we may have differences of opinion, thank you for
And I
sharing.
agree with that. I agree with different.
Similar to, you know,
Thank
where
you
a
for
traffic,
accepting my
traffic signal has to go, I mean, it doesn't just benefit people who live at the intersection, there's a broader community benefit to something like this. And similarly, adding, you know, what is it, half a mile, 0.7 miles of sidewalk to a neighborhood in some of our views, is a broader community benefit. It's not just to get kids safely to school, well, that's the first and most obvious benefit, but there are probably other benefits.
And as I
that can be
pointed out,
considered.
there's a safe route for every child from Glen Eagle to get all the way to the high school and to Enders Road with a crossing guard.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, and that's part of our contemplation now. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Okay, anyone else for the public hearing?
District map up again, because I thought I was in the district, but from what he's saying, I may not be in the district. Lucky day for you. Well.
You should run for office. I will have You think it's all boring, commission, it's not.
Oh, we had it wrong.
The first episode, we want petitions and ask a public hearing about those.
So, understand where we're at in the public hearing, so this is available right on the agenda. Everybody can take a look at that map and determine whether or not they're in the district, and if there is feedback about where the district should or should not include homes, please let us know your feedback on that. That's a very important part of this. We, as the town board, accept that we are trying to do something that is a little out of the ordinary in an effort to give residents infrastructure they're asking for. So any feedback is gonna be helpful and move the conversation along. So, is there anyone else who feels like they need an opportunity to address this? We are gonna have another public hearing on this matter, later in March. Okay, I would entertain a motion to close public hearing. Okay, all those in favor of closing? Oh,
Quick question, will there be a letter that goes out for the next meeting? Like, I got a letter about the meeting tonight, right? So will we look online?
No, the whole, so the initial public hearing, that letter was done for notification purposes. For subsequent ones, we'll have it available online.
You can sign up to get text alerts and email alerts.
Yeah.
So if you find that you're not receiving them, then you just missed one button. You gotta just click submit. So go to the agenda center on the website, fill out your information, and then go down and check the notifications you want received. And you'll check the town board agenda, and you can sign up for email and text, and then it'll be delivered to you. If you run into any issues, just call John's office and we can. I had trouble with it. It's not working. I signed up, I was.
Is there a motion on the table? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Sarah? Sarah, are you voting in favor of closing the public hearing?
Yeah, she.
Do have a question. I thought we had to keep it open until the March meeting.
No, so that's gonna be a separate public hearing.
Okay, then I'll vote in favor.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously, stop it. Yes, that would be the next item.
Motion to set a date for a second public hearing for March 12th, 2025, at 6:35 PM regarding the Enders Road site.
And to direct the clerk to publish the
And to
necessary.
direct the town clerk to publish the notice,
necessary order.
the necessary notices.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate the presentation.
Thank you, Supervisor. Thank you, Board.
Okay.
Any questions, please feel free to contact myself or Justin.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next up, we have a request for bid, on-call utility drainage and emergency services.
Yeah, so I'd like to share that this is something we've been talking about for a while. It's not frequently, but there are times when the highway department does not have the correct equipment to repair a manhole or a catch basin or something that has collapsed. And this would be an opportunity to engage a firm with different equipment who could be called on short notice to assist with such a repair. So this is a bid to have somebody lined up and ready to go, but they would still only be called if something were to happen and we required help.
Just as a side note, we did this with, who was it, tree cutting? I think we did that last year, we did an RFP for that, so this is something that, you know, on, advice from the state comptroller's office that we're, you know, trying to just make sure we're doing everything as appropriately as possible. So, would you make a motion, Sarah, or any questions?
So I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution granting authorization, motion to authorize the publication of the bid notice for the, I can't make this work. There we go. For the bid notice, on-call utility and drainage and emergency work. And then it would be, we would then get when the bids are collected, we would then authorize a contract.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so next up, if you have been paying attention, we have a winter for the first time in quite a few years. And what we are noticing, I've been working with the highway superintendent pretty closely this week, we procure our rock salt through the county contract. As the county executive talked about today, all of us in Onondaga County and in Cayuga County, really New York State, everyone is having trouble sourcing rock salt to keep the roads at the condition that they are expected to be at. So there's been a number of conversations about this, but one thing that we wanted to do, that I really wanted to do for the highway superintendent, is to authorize some additional funds. This is coming from the 2024 budget. So this is salt money that wasn't spent in the previous year that we are bringing forward to be in the 2025 budget, so that if Highway Superintendent Cushing is able to acquire some rock salt outside of the contract, that he has the funds necessary to purchase that without having to worry too much about the overages. What you'll notice too, especially going into this weekend, we are not gonna run out of salt this week, but if we don't get salt next week, we'll run out of salt next week. So what you'll notice is that more sand is put into the mixture. This is treated sand, so does it work? Yeah, actually, sand works really great. It makes it so you can drive. The problem is every bit of sand we put down, we gotta go clean it up in the spring. That's cost effective, that delays paving programs, things like that. So while our highway superintendent is gonna do the job that he does every year and keep our roads as clean as possible, we did wanna authorize him with some additional money so that if he can source that salt, he can get it. But also to just piggyback on what the county was saying today, to understand that this is a countywide shortage. Even the state DOT is having trouble sourcing salt. So any road that you would think, oh yeah, it's probably shouldn't be too bad to drive the speed limit on, just be a little bit more careful, a little bit more mindful, because it is going to be a difficult task to keep the roads the condition they are expected to be at with this rock salt shortage. So with that, we do have a prepared resolution, thank you to the attorney for preparing this, that would again authorize Highway Superintendent Cushing to spend those additional funds.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution granting authorization to the highway superintendent to purchase road salt on an emergency basis.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So next up, these are the justice court audits. There are a number of reasons why they didn't get taken care of in the previous years, but we put out a bid, we've gone through the process, these have been completed. And so this is just to accept those court audits. So any questions?
No, but thank you, Ann, for clarifying the discrepancies that I put on the 2023 one, it's just a typo, which is a very big relief to see, so.
Yes. Oh. So, Julie.
Okay.
That's right. So Councilor Gonzalez, I figured you yourself, so due to a conflict. So,
Okay, so motion to accept the annual procedures review of the Justice Court for the years 2019 to 2023, completed by FJ Pombo and Company, PC, as required by the Uniform Justice Court Act.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next up, we have an update from the Board of Ethics.
And what a beautiful segue to this agenda item. So, early in my term as a town councilor here, a handful of residents spoke from that very podium, questioning why isn't the Board of Ethics reviewing this or that proposed, development or item? And come to find out that there wasn't a Board of Ethics for the town of Manlius at that time. So that perked up my ears. And so over the course of the last year, we went through a finding, recruiting, selecting, and screening process to populate the board, which is stipulated in our town code. And so we have with us tonight in the room the members of the Board of Ethics, including Lawrence Raffel, Christine Zutler, and myself. And just to provide a little bit of context, I'd like to provide what the code actually states. So establishment of the Board of Ethics powers and duties. This is Town Code Section 14, Chapter 14, Part 5. Establishment of Board of Ethics powers and duties from the 1991 adopted code. There's hereby established a Board of Ethics consisting of 3 members to be appointed by the town board, all of whom reside in the town and who shall serve without compensation and at the pleasure of the town board. A majority of such members shall be persons other than elected or appointed officers or employees of the town, but the board shall include 1 member who is an elected or appointed officer or employee of the town. So that would be me, that third position. Part B, the Board of Ethics shall have the powers and duties prescribed by Article 18 of the General Municipal Law and shall render advisory opinions to the officers and employees of the town with respect to Article 18 of the General Municipal Law and this Code of Ethics adopted by the town board pursuant to such article under such rules and regulations as the board may prescribe. In addition, the board may make recommendations with respect to the drafting and adoption of amendments to this Code of Ethics upon the request of the town board. The town board did request this. So that has been the work of this board for the past, since initially meeting, I think, just before the turn of the new year. With that said, there was not sort of a procedural infrastructure in place for the board to really take action on anything or to receive referrals. So Board of Ethics is a referral-based entity where there's not a standing order of business. There are items or questions to be referred to the Board of Ethics for review. And we are doing sort of the groundwork to prepare the landscape for being able to do that more effectively. And so with that in mind, we have 4 advisory opinions for the board to consider, not necessarily with any formal action, but just for board consideration. I will hand them to the town clerk for the record. And the town supervisor can decide how and if and when we would like to have a discussion about it with the board, but there's no action to be taken tonight. But I will, as courtesy, just sort of articulate what they're about. So the first opinion is really to recommend modifying the Code of Ethics to meet the normative pronoun standards of inclusivity in a contemporary society. That's pretty simple stuff. Number 2, we recommend to bring our standards of conduct in section 14.3 into parallel with the state standard limit of 75 equivalents in terms of an allowable gift value. This is part of an ongoing code update project that is already taking place, but so the Board of Ethics sought to provide advice on that as well. Number 3 is we took the opportunity to review the January 2nd revised Town of Manlius internal procurement policy and appears in just that it appears in compliance with state standards and practices as articulated by the Office of the State Comptroller, General Municipal Law, and the Town of Manlius Code Chapter 14. And last for this round, upon review and analysis, the Town of Manlius employee manual appears to be in need of several revisions. The Board of Ethics suggests that a new section defining conflicts of interest, identification and prevention, and procedures to enhance prevention of conflicts of interest through standard financial disclosure policies and procedures must be incorporated into the revised document. The Board of Ethics is currently promulgating best practices for the town consideration. Upon completion and legal review, this standardized annual disclosure documentation should be incorporated into the revised Town of Manlius employee manual as part of the section pertaining to conflicts of interest, identification, and prevention. I want to thank Attorney Frateski for reviewing these before and prior to this meeting. And just know, in a real world scenario, what does the Board of Ethics typically do? Takes a referral to look at a potential conflict of interest, and where's the first place you go? Look at the disclosures of conflict of interest statements. There aren't any. And so we are building that policy and procedure now. Any questions? Thank you. Thanks to our, again, operating without compensation board member.
Just a quick question, kind of in reviewing these or kind of taking action on them, it's difficult because, you have to put it on an agenda. Do you think it would make sense to do like some type of work session where we dig into these a little bit further, or is it just something that you think can kind of percolate through?
I'm more than happy to have a work session and talk about it for sure.
Great, so let's just, touch base on that, we'll find the next time that makes the most sense, and maybe we'll get that, and honestly, I'm sure by the time that work session comes around, we'll have a couple other things to discuss too.
Yeah.
Great, thank you very much, thank you to the whole committee, really appreciate the effort put in there. Okay, next up, we have, we are very happy to have been signed off to do a couple hundred transfers and encumbrances as presented. So what I would just say is this is something that we've been doing a little bit more frequently to each meeting to kind of come in line with guidance from the comptroller's office, where we try to keep the budget transfers happening as quickly as possible to track in real time how the budget's actually moving. And so we started probably June, July, I think, when we really started to try to do this. So what we're seeing is kind of all the budget transfers that probably should have happened throughout the year that we need to do to kind of round off the year end. And then also a number of encumbrances, which is us taking money that was not spent in the 2024 budget and carrying those funds forward to the 2025 budget for the same purposes. And this is more so, we've kind of gone through, some of these are projects that happened, things weren't available to be prepared, other reasons. And so this is us kind of wrapping up the 2024 budget, making sure the budget reflects the money that was spent, as well as bringing some of those funds forward for use in the 2025 year. So with that, we have, the PDFs that are shared on the agenda, they are comprehensive. If folks have questions about any specific budget transfer, please reach out. That being said, we will be wrapping up this year's budget, moving to the annual financial report in just a few days here. So when that is all done, that report will be available and reflect all of these changes that we made. So, any questions from the board on this?
Thank you for agreeing.
We want to get the black mark from the comptroller for our own sanity, so.
Well, I will say, this was definitely a point of discussion with some of the board of, perhaps if we can say like a resolution at some point saying, hey, comptroller, this is how we're gonna operate or something like that. I know we're supposed to ask for forgiveness instead of permission, but definitely something that we want to look at to streamline this process as much as possible, because again, in following their guidance, we are doing these more frequently, and we've seen in some meetings, it can take a little bit of time, so, now that I've used up all the time that we've saved.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2025 encumbrances as submitted by the town comptroller.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And so too, I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget transfers as presented by the town comptroller.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So next up, we have the December 2024 supervisor's report.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the supervisor's report for December 2024.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then we've got minutes.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 22nd, 2025.
I'll say.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. And approval of the abstract.
Mr. Supervisor, I do have an announcement. Is there time to add a couple other things to the agenda?
Oh, yeah, I have some motions as well, so feel free to just jump in.
Do you want to do it now or after the abstract?
No, go for it, just do it.
All right. So I wanted to announce that we did.
Guys.
I'm sorry, did I do it backwards?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I made a joke. By all means, go.
All right. We received a letter from the Department of State saying that we did receive CFA number 137278 in the amount of $108 for the town of Manlius Climate Smart Zoning update. So we will be moving forward with a contract for that and be able to implement a community-wide zoning project during 2025.
Wait, how much?
108,000. Yeah, she just said 108, but it's 108.
Oh, I was like, $108. Okay, that's great news.
Okay.
My announcement. So we have a work session on Tuesday, February 25th at 4 p.m. It's an age-friendly forum. So we've submitted an application to become an age-friendly community. We'll have representatives from AARP talking about what it means to be an age-friendly community. And we'll also do some brainstorming around the domains of livability in both the built environment and the social environment. Many of the benefits for older adults really benefit people across the lifespan, excuse me. So it's really about quality of life. Sidewalks are often considered a plus, and walkability. So if you have an opportunity to either join us in person or online, that's February 25th at 4 o'clock.
Very much. So I apologize, I should probably put this sooner. So in talking to the comptroller, we did notice, so a lot of work has happened behind the scenes, to just make sure that the ARPA accounting is being handled appropriately. And it came to light that, I believe the second deposit of the ARPA funds, went into the wrong account. And so we're just cleaning that up to make sure everything makes sense. So I am going some motions. I know that I don't normally do this, but I would like to make a motion to transfer from A00.2688 other liabilities to A00.4.4089 coronavirus local fiscal recovery in the amount of $491,311.46. So are there questions on that? So this is the original, when we took the ARPA payments in two deposits, it went into a account 3 times, sorry. Would you like to correct me at all? Please do. So basically it was, one of those deposits went to the wrong account, and so we're just trying to, these are 2 budget transfers to amend that so that the accounts make sense moving forward.
Are you allowed to make motions?
You ask them every time he makes a motion.
How often does he
ever-
do this?
I
I don't
don't
think
make
he's ever
motions.
done this.
He's done it once.
But I didn't need anyone reading my chief inspector.
I was gonna say, you have a lovely handwriting. Oh, so beautiful. Can you second this one? I'll third your motion.
Sure. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And a motion to transfer funds from A003.917 fund balance to A002.688 other liabilities in the amount of $63,811.47.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Any other announcements or anything before we approve the abstract?
You have to do the.
On the liabilities account.
Okay, we're gonna do this in the floor.
Is there an announcement for that?
Why don't you make announcements while he's pulling that up?
Go for it.
Okay, no, I just wanted to report back that, the town's, the east side of the county, CRC committee met, a couple weeks back. And, I attended that with, Tom Paluski from the village of, trustee from the village of Manlius, Mark Matt, trustee from the village of Fayetteville, our clerk, Carrie Rowling. And we had representatives from both the school districts, superintendent's offices. And they put together a really good tabletop exercise that we all participated in. And it was developed around a hazardous material type of release during a science myriad, or it was large, bigger than normal event at the school on a weekend. And that I thought it went really well. And we identified opportunities and challenges, and definitely the need to do more of these in the future, and more planning on a townwide basis. And also that we think that the elected officials with ultimate responsibility in the end to put the pieces back together should get notifications probably early on when our resources are dispatched to these types of scenarios. So we're working on that. Similar, I believe, the Village of Fayetteville, like Trustee Matt did say, he'll get a notification as liaison to the fire department just about everything that goes out, but especially a serious event that the village fire department responds to. They're also the town department that responds to a district established in the town. So it would be good for us to know, but we're working on that, as the CRC isn't that in a while, but that was a really good tabletop exercise that we had.
Thank you.
So, just a quick question, for motion to encumber. We're gonna be encumbering money from one account in 2024 to 25, so would the motion be motion to encumber the amount from the account for 2025?
We're encumbering money from 2024, correct?
Yeah.
And then to be used for 2025.
Yep.
So motion to encumber amounts is specified. Do we have a report or something for this?
I've got the number.
Okay.
It's just one of them.
All right, so motion to encumber that amount in 2024 to be used in 2025.
Okay. So, my third motion to encumber $1,118,324.58 from the account 8002.688 other liabilities from 24 to 2025. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
It's just to be clear, we're not sort of people, it's not new or different ARPA funds to be used for different reasons. It's literally just cleaning up. Yeah, that was kind of wrong.
Any other announcements or new business? I would look for a motion to approve the abstract.
Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve abstract number 3 for 2025 in the amount of $6,555,000 or $6,555,399.39. And as Deputy Supervisor Ballinger would say, the big winner this time.
I'm going to second it and say the big winner is the fire districts.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Right before we do that, when's the Association of Towns?
Next week.
Monday and Tuesday.
And who's going?
Like never.
Have fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm jealous. It's a really good time.
Very informational and educational.
I can't with workshops. You're gonna love it. Like literally, it's gonna be so much fun, so much good networking. I had ideas. I haven't been back since 2020. I gotta go next year. All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, have a great night, everybody. So,